Good evening. You've arrived at the soft part of the day. Outside, the rain has stitched a quiet seam across the night, and Ember is already asleep at my feet, breathing slow, sure, and small. There's a cup beside me, and somehow it stayed warm. Tonight, I'll tell you how that happened. Not with physics or tricks, but with attention and a kind of patience that keeps its own temperature. If your eyes are heavy, let them be heavy. If your breath wants to lengthen, let it lengthen. Nothing urgent will visit us here. I am in my small kitchen, the one that knows the sound of late rain. The kettle hums, not a rush, more like a cat, purr, made of steam. I watch the coil glow and dim behind the switch, glow and dim, like a slow heartbeat. On the table, a porcelain cup the color of morning clouds. It has a small chip on the handle, my favorite imperfection. I reach for the tea leaves, the ones that smell like book pages and citrus peel. They whisper when I open the tin, and the kitchen grows one size larger. The timer isn't a timer tonight. It's the sound of the rain counting for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every few beats, a soft gust crosses the window with a sigh, and the house answers with a tiny settling creak, like an old friend shifting on the couch to get comfortable. The kettle lifts its voice only enough to announce readiness. I pour. The tea gathers itself in amber folds, and the steam curls like handwriting I can't quite read. I set the cup down. Not a clink. A landing. That's important. How things land changes how they stay. Behind me, Ember stirs once, then returns to sleep. I'm not sure who learned calm from whom, her from me, or me from her. There is a secret to keeping a cup warm. You must keep your life warm around it. We think warmth is only heat, but it's also attention. When you pay attention, you shelter what you hold. When you hurry, even boiling water becomes cold. So I decide, tonight I will drink slowly enough to notice every gentle thing that usually escapes me. I lift the cup. The first sip is not a sip, it's a greeting. Hello, evening. Hello, breath. Hello, shoulder that softened when I wasn't looking. I swallow, and the warmth moves through my chest like a small lantern being carried room to room. There's no rush to light everything. One room is enough. I look at the window and think, a day can be very full and still have a quiet center. It doesn't matter what happened at the edges, the errands, the messages, the almost tears I folded into the laundry. Here, at the center, the rain unknots the hours, and the cup stays warm because I stay near it. I make a little museum on the table, the kind that makes no one buy tickets. A pencil with a patient point, a page with 3 lines of a letter I haven't finished, a tiny pebble from the beach that looks like a comma. Everything small, everything honest. I don't need to finish the letter tonight. Some words are meant to sleep before they're spoken. I breathe with Ember. In, her side rises. Out, her side falls. We become a very slow metronome. Breath is how the body nods yes to being here. Another sip. The tea tastes like the color of lamplight on wood. It tastes like staying. It tastes like the promise you can make to yourself, and no one else will ever measure. On the wall, the old clock says almost nothing, just a soft cotton footstep every now and then. Time is awake, but not imposing. If time had a favorite room, it would be this one, the room where nothing is demanded of it. I think of all the times I rushed cooling cups into the sink before they could teach me anything. Tonight I listen. The lesson is small. Do less, then less again. Let the flavor come to you. When the rain thins, a memory arrives, quietly, like someone folding a blanket at the foot of the bed. I was younger, still learning how to be soft where I used to be sharp. I visited a lighthouse that wasn't working anymore, and a woman who kept keys for it taught me something I didn't understand until now. The light kept ships safe, she said, but it also kept the keeper company. Both directions matter. I look at the cup. Heat keeping me company, me keeping the heat company. Warmth moves in both directions when you treat it like a guest. Another sip, and I say thank you to the steam. I remember the way the sea smelled that day, salt and iron and wind, and how the lighthouse didn't mind being retired. It knew the tides still listened for it. I rub my thumb over the chip in the handle. Imperfections make excellent handles. You can grab onto them. My days are not smooth, and I am grateful for that. A smooth life gives you nowhere to hold. Ember dreams. One paw twitches like a leaf waving hello. I whisper to her sleeping, "It's all right. The storm is small tonight." And she believes me because I said it softly. Sometimes the truth is carried best by a whisper. I glance at the letter again. It begins, "I hope you felt the sky breathe today." No address, no name. Maybe it was for me all along. There are letters that make sense right away, and letters that only make sense at night when the cup stays warm. I could list the unfinished things from today, but tonight they can go on being unfinished, like the horizon. Always almost, never finally. I set the pencil down in a way that makes no sound. Quiet is a kind of editing. I write one more line in my head instead of on the page. Warmth is company you don't have to entertain. Out of habit, I check the cup. Still warm. It's not a miracle. It's simply that I didn't leave it alone. I stayed with it. We kept each other kindly. There's a comfort in noticing what stays when nothing must. The chair stays. The rain stays, then doesn't, then stays again in a lighter way. The breath stays, even when we forget to thank it. If you are listening with your head on a pillow now, you can let my words blur at the edges. You can let the sentences slow down like a train easing into a small, well-lit station. You don't have to get off. You can just ride the quiet for one more stop. When I hold the cup, it tells me a story about you. Yes, about you, here, listening. It says, "You are warmer than you think. You've carried heat through storms you didn't announce to anyone. You've kept something alive through attention alone. Maybe you kept a promise to yourself that no one saw. Maybe you were patient in a line that didn't deserve it. Maybe you paused before you spoke and saved a small world that way. Warmth doesn't always glow. Sometimes it's simply restraint, kindness, or rest." Another sip, slow as a winter sunrise. The flavor has deepened into a softer version of itself. When tea cools a little, it gets honest. When days cool a little, they do too. I decide to leave the last mouthful for the very end as a gentle bookend to the night, a comma that feels like a period. The cup will forgive me. It knows I'll be here, right beside it, while Ember dreams and the rain rehearses a quieter version of itself. The lamp asks to be dimmed, and I oblige, turning the knob so slowly the shadows have time to find their better angles. The room is an orchestra of hush. If this is where you drift, let the drift be easy, like a boat untied from a small dock, pushed only by the kindest ripple. I carry the cup to the sink and don't wash it yet. Some warmth deserves a longer goodbye. On the windowsill, the pebble that looks like a comma keeps being a comma, not an ending, an almost ending that lets you rest. Ember sighs in her sleep. I cover her with the small blanket that always slides off 5 minutes later. We continue our ritual because rituals are how we tell the body it can trust the night. For the last minute, we won't need many words, just the simple ones that hold like hands. You are safe. You are allowed to rest. You have kept warm what you could. That is enough. I'll sit here a little longer, signing today's page in the quiet almanac with silence. The rain will sign as witness. Ember will sign with one last sleepy breath, and the cup that stayed warm will cool very gently now, only because you don't need it to be warm anymore. Good night.